We had a poll this morning as regards what you and how you access TV. Was it on a PC, a laptop? Was it on your phone? Did you watch television on a television? Well, in County Wicklow, anyway, according to the people who got in touch, it looks like about 99% still access TV programs on their TV. So there you go, 99% access exclusively on their TV. And not time they might look at the news or whatever on a PC, but it is overwhelmingly a TV in County Wicklow. So thanks to everybody who contributed to that, and we'll be able to quote it now in the future. Anyway, our number here, 087 77 11 103. And now, 20,000 house hunters chasing just 10,000 homes. That is the headline today. Story by Charlie Weston in the Irish Independent. In County Wicklow, the Fianna Fáil TD, Pat Casey, is junior spokesperson on housing. He's on the line. Pat, good morning.
And how are you this morning?
Okay, it's not very good when we read that. Goodness me, we're in a terrible state, and we don't seem to be moving any closer to a resolution of homelessness, accommodation difficulties, people who just can't find or can't afford to move in somewhere.
Yeah, you know, Declan, you're correct in approach. This is another confirmation of how bad the housing market is. In fairness, we're seeing an increase in mortgage approval rates, but yet there's only 50% of the houses there for them to buy, which all that's doing is driving up the price of houses on people. And it's another indication that the first-time buyers grant has equally led into this surge in price increases. I suppose the housing crisis, as we all know, and we've said over and over again, is down to one thing, is the supply of houses. And we are not delivering on supply of houses, be they new houses or be they conversion of vacant properties. And I've spoken on both of them before. And, you know, we have to intervene. We have to be more proactive now and deal with the fact that we are actually dealing with that. You know, new builds are going to take a long time. It has been identified there's 178,000 vacant properties out there. We should be putting a huge emphasis behind that. And I also believe that we actually should be building significantly more social authority housing than we are at the moment. To try and eliminate this demand-driven market that's out there at the moment, which is just, all it's doing is driving up prices and prices. And I suppose one of the other interesting aspects that's coming out is it's very hard to deal with the crisis unless you know exactly what's happening in it. And sometimes we've been misled by figures that have been used by the department. And I suppose one thing that's equally come to highlight is that the use of the ESB reconnections as the measure of measuring new premises, which in fact is flawed.
Do you think that the restrictions on mortgages and getting a mortgage should be even tighter? And the argument being that if you've got less money to spend, well, then the people selling the houses have to bring their prices down.
Well, I suppose there hasn't been a significant, the last properties surge was caused by loose credit. There's definitely not loose credit at the moment. What has been identified is there is an increase in mortgages being approved. But equally, the other stat that has come out is there's a reduction in mortgage drawdown by 22% quarter on quarter. And which goes to show that the level of properties are just not out there, even though people have got mortgages, Declan. So I don't necessarily think that is the case.
Shouldn't we be aiming as a benchmark? And I say this as aiming because I know at the moment it's pie in the sky for it. But somebody on the minimum wage in a full-time job, maybe working 40 hours a week, they being able to get one-room place, either renting or buying, should be the benchmark that we should be aiming for.
No, I think in fairness, and we have to go back to the core principle that I suppose housing is a right and everybody has a right to have a house. And I think that's the principle that we should all be aiming towards. Whether you're on the minimum wage and working 40 hours a week, you should have an opportunity to either hopefully buy an affordable house or rent an affordable house with security of tenure. And that is where we have to get to, Declan. It's going to take some time, but I think that has to be the core principle that we should all follow.
Yeah, I was just thinking there, if you reduce the mortgage, status or criteria, sure, you're only hiding the fact that people want a mortgage but they just can't get it, or they won't be approved. It won't make people go away, basically. You know, there are people there who need a home, need a house or whatever, and they're just there, and they need to be recognised, and we need to do something to fulfil that.
You know, I think it's
market.
wrong on society today if you can even have a two-income family in secure employment, actually in permanent employment, whether they be a Garda or a nurse, and they cannot qualify to get a mortgage, or they probably will never be able to afford to buy their own home. And I think as a society that is wrong. It does need to be tackled, and it comes back again to the sole thing we need: supply of housing. Now, the supply of housing has been focused solely, well, not solely, but the emphasis has been put on new builds and delivering new builds, where I've always found that we should be equally targeting the vacant properties that are out there, which can be converted much quicker and doesn't require any infrastructure that is required with new builds.
What's the story in Wicklow?
In relation to
people wanting to live in their home county?
It's becoming more and more difficult, again, down to the lack of supply of housing. Again, being there new builds or being they repair of vacant properties. The rental market, even though the rent pressure zones has come in with the exception of Greystone, but what we have seen anecdotally in Arklow is because Arklow is not in the rental pressure zone, the price of rents are going up by 20 and 30%, which is becoming unaffordable for an awful lot of people.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't know the out of it. You know, do we have people to build it? Do we have the land? Do the builders have the money? Is the tax structure right? You know,
it is, Declan. It's a combination of all them factors. I think the minister has brought out Rebuilding Ireland, has addressed some of them, but I don't think it goes far enough. And the first-time buyers grant was an example where we opposed the first-time buyers grant in the sense that we said all it would do was rise the price of houses. That has been proved correct. What we were asking to do was that we attack the cost of building houses, and we've mentioned that before, whether that's access to credit, cost of credit, development contribution scheme, building regulations, that we reduce the input cost of housing, and that would make it more attractive to the developer to come in and build houses. But the other thing, I think, at this stage, with the best will in the world, the minister with his mixed tenure policy and Part 5s and using improved housing bodies to do it is not enough. We just simply, as a state, have to get involved in the market now and build more social houses to take the heat out of the market and provide people and families with security of tenure and security of a home to raise their families in.
Okay, Pat Casey, Junior Spokesperson on Housing for Fianna Fáil. Thanks very much indeed, Pat.
Thank you, Declan.
To you. Thank you. God, it's dreadful out there. I mean, just look at that. I mean, you get mortgage approval, you're very happy. Oh, we'll go off and get our first home or whatever. And then, well, there isn't enough houses. You've got the approval, but you won't be able to get a house. It's just appalling. Anyway, 087 77 11 103 is our number. Live a better life. With your data on your phone. How to look after your phone's data. You might lose your phone and you'll say, oh my goodness me, all my life